Okay, let's just get right into it. On November 21st, 2025, yes, a Miss Universe winner was crowned. But honestly, that's barely a footnote in the real story here. The 74-year-old institution didn't just have a bad night. It had a complete, top-to-bottom organizational meltdown. I mean, it's unlike anything we have ever seen before.
The world needs to see this. No one can shut our voice. Now, those are the words of Miss Mexico, Fatima Bosch. And those words, they really get to the heart of this entire situation. Before we even dive into the nitty-gritty, you just have to understand. This stopped being a story about a beauty pageant and became a story about a full-blown rebellion.
And what a rebellion it was. You know, the crown this year wasn't just made of jewels, it was basically forged in pure chaos. The list of scandals that just blew up in the span of a few weeks, it's absolutely staggering.
What's so mind-blowing is how fast this all happened. We're talking about just 3 weeks. In that time, the organization faced a crisis on literally every single front. Public humiliation, a mass walkout of contestants, a horrifying injury, and a leadership crisis so bad that both co-owners, both of them, ended up with arrest warrants. This wasn't just a few mistakes, it was a total system failure. So, how did this whole firestorm even start? Well, it all kicked off with a single, incredibly tense confrontation that was broadcast live for the entire world to see.
So get this, during a live-streamed sash ceremony, the pageant director Nawat Itsaragrisil just starts berating Miss Mexico, Fatima Bosch. When she tries to stand up for herself, he reportedly insults her intelligence. Many people said he actually called her a dummy. And then he tried to have security remove her. It was just a shocking abuse of power, right there on camera.
And here's how quickly a personal attack spiraled into this huge international incident. First, the director's public tirade. Then, literally within minutes, Bosch stands her ground. And that one single act of defiance immediately inspires a mass walkout from other contestants in solidarity. The whole thing escalated so fast that the Miss Universe organization had no choice but to publicly condemn its own director for serious abuse.
And look, this wasn't just a few contestants. The reigning Miss Universe herself, Victoria Kjaerbye, she joined the walkout. And her statement completely reframed the whole thing. Suddenly, this wasn't just about one director's awful behavior. It was about the core values of an organization that's supposed to be all about empowering women.
But that director's conduct, that was just the tip of the iceberg. The walkout didn't just expose some bad behavior. It ripped the curtain back on a much deeper crisis, one that made people question the integrity of the entire competition and the leadership at the very top. So just days before the final, 2 judges quit, and one of them, Omar Harfouch, was super vocal, claiming the whole competition was rigged. I mean, his claims were explosive. He said a secret jury had already pre-selected 30 contestants, and that he was personally pressured by co-owner Raul Rocha to vote for Miss Mexico for business reasons. The organization, of course, denied the secret jury part, but the damage to its credibility, it was already done. And this is where the story just becomes truly unprecedented. The first co-owner, Jakapong Jakrajuthatip, who'd bought the whole organization back in 2022, had an arrest warrant issued by a Thai court for fraud after she didn't show up for a hearing.
And then, boom, the second bombshell. The other co-owner, Raul Rocha Cantu, was, at the same time, revealed to be under investigation in Mexico for really serious trafficking allegations involving drugs, guns, and fuel.
Okay, let's just pause and really take this in for a second. Both leaders of this global brand, a brand that's all about women's empowerment, were either wanted or under investigation for major crimes. Add to that the fact that their parent company was already going through debt rehab, and you have a leadership structure that is just completely fundamentally broken on every single level, ethically and financially.
But here is the massive paradox in this whole meltdown. At the exact same time the organization was failing its contestants and its own mission, its popularity as a train wreck spectacle absolutely exploded online. And we just can't forget the real human cost here. This isn't just drama. Miss Jamaica suffered a fall so bad she ended up in the ICU. Miss Haiti called the whole experience a nightmare of misconduct and sickness. Several contestants, including a top 5 finalist, renounced their titles completely out of principle. Their experiences were the very heavy price paid for all that online drama. And if you look at the data, It tells a fascinating story. While traditional TV viewership just plummeted, the pageant became a social media monster. It racked up an unbelievable 4.3 billion TikTok impressions. It turns out the chaos was actually really compelling content.
And what was the single biggest driver of all that engagement? A staggering 62% of it came from the walkout alone. That one moment of defiance, that stand against abuse, that was the thing that made the pageant more relevant than it had been in years, but, for all the wrong reasons. So, the question is, how does an organization even begin to recover from this? Well, experts suggest it requires some deep structural changes. First, you have to separate the troubled ownership from the day-to-day operations. Second, bring in outside firms to make sure the scoring is totally transparent and audited. And third, you have to implement a zero-tolerance policy for the kind of behavior that started this whole mess.
In the end, it really all comes back to Fatima Bosch, the woman who started it all, and who, somehow, ended up winning the crown. Her own words almost feel like a prophecy for the organization itself. Miss Universe has to decide. Is it going to follow the lead of the brave women who stood up, or is it going to continue down this path of self-destruction?
And that just leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? After a complete meltdown of leadership, of integrity, of even basic safety, can an institution like Miss Universe actually be saved? Or was this viral chaos the final, spectacular implosion of a bygone era?